The phone buzzed on my nightstand, a shrill, insistent cry cutting through the quiet of my apartment. I knew who it was before I even glanced at the screen. Mom? Again. For 2 weeks, they'd been hounding me, a relentless barrage of calls and texts, each one a tiny, agonizing shard of glass lodging itself in my chest. 2 years. 2 years I'd spent clawing my way out of the abyss they'd so casually tossed me into. 2 years of silence, of meticulously rebuilding a life brick by painful brick. And now, this. I ignored it, as I had every other call. Let it ring, let it vibrate itself into oblivion. But the silence that followed was even worse. It echoed with the ghosts of shattered trust, of a love turned violently, irrevocably sour. Why were they doing this? Why couldn't they just leave me the hell alone? That's what I wanted to scream into the phone, but I can't. The answer, of course, was buried deep in the festering wound of my past. A past I desperately tried to bury, to forget. A past that had started with a name, Sophia. My name is Joseph. Well, it was until 2 years ago. I used to live with my parents, Andrew and Lucy. I don't really like to think about my past before the incident, so I'll be brief. But as much as I want to deny it, I have to admit that I was happy. My parents were well established and ran their business efficiently. We weren't rich by any means, but Lucy and Andrew earned a little more than average in our city, which meant I never had to worry about money since I was a kid. That doesn't mean I was a greedy child or someone who always wanted expensive things. I enjoyed video game consoles from time to time and Lego sets, but other than that, I didn't spend much of their money. That life, it felt like a dream now, a cruel, mocking dream. Before the nightmare began, I had it all. A loving family, a bright future, a clear path laid out before me. Then, in a single devastating moment, it was all ripped away. And the architect of that destruction? My sister, Sophia. Sophia. Just the name tastes like poison on my tongue. We were twins, but that's about where the similarities ended. As kids, we were inseparable. Best friends, partners in crime. I would have done anything for her. But something shifted as we grew older. A darkness bloomed within her, a bitterness that festered and consumed her. She became jealous, manipulative, and utterly ruthless. She craved attention, validation, things, and she was willing to do anything to get them. I tried to help her, to pull her back from the brink, but she pushed me away, her eyes hardening with a resentment I couldn't understand. I distanced myself, retreating from the toxicity that radiated from her like a malignant force. And that's when her hatred for me started. The root of her hatred? I've wrestled with that for years. I think she was jealous that I was our parents' favorite. Unlike me, Sophia struggled in school and didn't seem to have clear goals. She often complained that our parents treated us differently, though I never saw it that way until much later. I can't find another reason for what she did to me. But this is mostly an assumption of mine, because I don't know her side of the story. However, I believe it all started the day Sophia and I talked about college. I remember the day vividly. It was a seemingly innocuous conversation, filled with the mundane details of college applications and future plans. We were on the cusp of adulthood, the world stretching before us with endless possibilities. I told her about my acceptance to my dream university, how my dad had saved a special fund for my education. A wave of jealousy washed over Sophia's face. She told me that, unlike me, she would have to work very hard if she ever wanted to attend college, since our parents couldn't pay for her studies like they would do with me. Her only option was to get a scholarship, but by that point it was too late because she wasn't a good student. Then, the knife twisted deeper. Sophia told me that our parents asked her to get a small job to support herself and learn the value of hard work. She was pretty upset about this, and I tried to calm her down. I told her that working was a great thing, that even I wanted to get a part-time job to gain experience in what I planned to do. That's when she got mad at me. She told me that she didn't need my sympathy, and that having to do it and wanting to do it were completely different things, since I had the option not to. Looking back, I see the envy simmering beneath the surface, the resentment hardening into a lethal weapon. I knew I had to be careful. I had to be aware. It was the last real conversation we had, the last moment of fragile peace before the storm broke. Then came my dream university acceptance letter in the mail. It was so incredible. It was everything I'd been working towards. I remember running to Sophia, wanting to share my joy. "I made it!" I blurted out, unable to contain my excitement. No way to brag or anything like that. I was simply sharing good news with my sister. Her smile was tight, forced. "Congratulations," she said, her voice flat. I should have seen it then. The darkness gathering in her eyes, the barely suppressed rage. I should have known that my happiness was a threat to her, a spark that would ignite the inferno. That night, she told my parents that I had assaulted her. Not just once, but multiple times. That she couldn't hide it anymore. I can only imagine the performance she gave. The tears, the trembling voice, the carefully crafted lies designed to tear me apart. And they believed her. Why wouldn't they? These kinds of accusations aren't made lightly, especially against a family member. I was celebrating with my girlfriend when my parents called me to come home immediately. I was confused but didn't hesitate, and I headed over. As soon as I arrived at home, I saw everyone sitting in the living room with faces as if someone had died. I caught the vibe and asked my mom what was going on. Sophia started crying as soon as she saw me, and my dad hugged her tightly. I got worried, so I asked Sophia what was wrong. At that moment, my mom stood up yelling and slapped me. The shock was visceral. My ears rang, my cheek burned. I stumbled back, my mind reeling. "Why?" she screamed, her face contorted with fury. "What did we do to deserve this?" I didn't understand. "What are you talking about?" My dad stepped forward, his face a mask of cold fury. "Your sister told us the truth." The world tilted on its axis. "Truth? What truth?" Then the words came, accusations hurled like daggers. Assault, abuse, a monstrous litany of lies that painted me as a monster, a predator. I denied it, of course, vehemently, desperately, but it was no use. Their minds were already made up. Sophia's tears, her carefully constructed narrative, had poisoned them against me. "I didn't do anything," I pleaded, my voice cracking with desperation. "You have to believe me." But their eyes were filled with disgust, with a revulsion that cut deeper than any blade. They didn't see their son. They saw a monster, a stranger they could no longer recognize. "I've tried everything," I yelled, my voice becoming more coarse with each word I spoke. My father wanted me arrested, but my mom and Sophia convinced him not to. So my dad demanded that I be removed from the family and cut off completely. I cried, begging my mom not to do this and to see that I was telling the truth. But she only told me that she was ashamed to be my mother and that she regretted giving birth to a demon like me. I was banished, kicked out of my house, my family, my life, stripped of everything I held dear, left to wander in the wilderness of their contempt. I called everyone I knew, begging for help, for someone to believe me. But the poison had spread. Friends turned their backs. My girlfriend dumped me and blocked all communication with me. I was alone, utterly, irrevocably alone. I spent a whole day outside and slept in a park. The news spread fast and all my friends blocked me. No one wanted anything to do with me. Everyone hated me, calling me the worst kind of man. I can't explain how that felt. When I think about it, I just remember a whirlwind of emotions. Then, a lifeline. A call from my Aunt Paula, my mother's sister. She listened to my story, her voice calm and unwavering, and she believed me. "I know you, Joseph," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I know you would never do something like that." Those words, simple as they were like a balm to my ravaged soul. Someone believed me. Someone saw me. She picked me up, took me to her small town far away from everything and everyone, and gave me a home. Paula lives in a small, snowy town far from everything and everyone there. The trauma hit me hard, and I spent months feeling like a living corpse. But little by little, with the help of her love, I began to be myself again. I got a good job, and since then I've been working there. In fact, I earn well and I'm happy. Several months ago, I also decided to start college, and I've been attending night classes after work. She gave me a second chance, a sanctuary where I could begin to heal. And I did. Slowly, painstakingly, I started to rebuild my life. I got a job, found a sense of purpose. I even started taking classes at the local community college. But the scars remained, deep, ugly welts that throbbed with the memory of betrayal. And the knowledge that Sophia was out there, living her life, untouched by the consequences of her actions. Not at me. Which brings me back to the present. The incessant ringing of my phone, the ghost of my mother's voice whispering accusations in my ear. For the past 2 weeks, my parents have been trying to contact me non-stop. I don't even want to hear their voices. But yesterday, my Aunt Paula found out and asked me to talk to them at least once and give them a chance. I told her I wouldn't, but now I feel bad for telling her no. My parents didn't care about me or ask if I was still alive for the last 2 years. Should I really listen to them now? Joseph, Paula said gently, her hand resting on my arm. They're your parents, no matter what happened. No, I cut her off, my voice sharp. They stopped being my parents a long time ago. They chose her lies over my truth. I don't want to go through all of that again. What do you guys think I should do? I asked myself, again and again. What should I do? I didn't know the right answer. That night, I tossed and turned in bed, haunted by memories I couldn't escape. The feel of my mother's slap, the coldness in my father's eyes, the triumphant smirk on Sophia's face. Could I ever forgive them? Could I ever forget? The phone rang again. I stared at it, my hand trembling. This time, I answered. Hello? I said, my voice barely a whisper, a sob on the other end. Joseph? Is that really you? My mother. Her voice was raw with grief, laced with a desperation that sent a shiver down my spine. What do you want? I asked, my voice flat. We need to talk, she said, her voice breaking. Please, Joseph, just give us a chance to explain. Explain? What could they possibly explain? How they could so easily discard their own son? How they could believe such monstrous lies? There's nothing to explain, I said, my voice hardening. You made your choice. We were wrong, she cried. We know that now. We made a terrible mistake. Too late, I said, my voice cold. 2 years too late? I hung up, severing the connection. But the silence that followed was even more deafening. The past was clawing its way back into my life, threatening to drag me back into the darkness. I'd fought so hard to escape. I unblocked them and told my dad, Andrew, that I would have a day off in 2 days, and that I would call them, but that until then, I didn't want them to bother me. My dad agreed, and after 2 days, I called them. They seemed fine, and at first they asked me how I was doing. I told them to get to the point and skip the act of concern, because I already knew how they felt about me. As soon as I said that, I saw my mom, Lucy, cry. She started saying that she and Dad had made the biggest mistake of their lives by believing Sophia, and that they should have trusted me. They both started lamenting and told me they regretted everything that happened and that they believed me now. You can't imagine how long I had waited for them to call me and tell me this. But life is funny. Now, all they accomplished was making me even angrier, because at this point it was too late. Their apology enraged me, and I told them that they were 2 years too late, that I didn't care how they felt now, that they were no longer my parents. My mom cried even more and told me she was sorry and that she would never doubt me again. I replied that I was tired of the melodrama and asked them why they were doing this now and what they wanted from me. Then my dad, Andrew, said that he knew I wasn't going to forgive them so easily, and that because of that, he wasn't going to ask for it. He only told me that he and Mom needed my help. He asked me to come back home and help them. I laughed and asked him why I would do something like that and what problems they had. Dad explained that it was Sophia who was causing them problems and that I was the only one who could help them. Hearing her name on top of all of this further enraged me. Sophia? Why would I help anything that involves that lying psychopath? I asked, my voice going coarse with anger. I told my parents that I was done with my past. That included them and Sophia. I hung up, blocked them, and told my Aunt Paula, who wasn't very happy, but supported me. So that's it. I'm done with my parents and my past, and I'm not going to listen to them again. Did I do the right thing? It's been almost a week since my last update, and yesterday my parents showed up at my Aunt Paula's house. Yes, they showed up at my place after I told them not to bother me anymore and cut them off from my life. But I'm not upset with them because I found out many things. For a few days, my life went back to normal. I was working on forgetting everything. I was already done with them and just wanted to live in peace. My Aunt Paula had agreed not to mention them anymore, and I was grateful. However, yesterday while I was at work, my aunt asked me not to go to college and come straight home. I did, and I found my parents, Andrew and Lucy, sitting at her house having tea. I immediately looked at my aunt, who told me she had no idea they were coming and that she was as surprised as I was. Then my parents told me that they weren't there to bother me, but to ask me to hear them out once, and that afterward, if I wanted them gone, they wouldn't show up again. Well, the offer was quite tempting, and I was a little curious, so I asked them what the problem was. Dad started by recounting from the moment I left with my Aunt Paula 2 years ago. He said that after I left, he felt really bad about everything that happened, since not only had he lost a son, but his own son had done a horrible thing. Because of that, he told Sophia that he wanted to help her with whatever she needed. She asked him to pay for her college with the funds he had saved for me, and he accepted, giving her all the money without any questions asked. Every now and then, she would call him to ask for extra payments whenever she needed something. Dad was so sad about everything that had happened that he kept paying her without questioning her. Because of that, my dad never knew what Sophia was really doing and just kept paying, hoping that giving her a good college experience and making her life better would make up for everything he thought I had done wrong. It wasn't until a few months ago that he found out that Sophia had dropped out of college a long time ago and was using my parents to fund a luxurious lifestyle. Dad got very angry, and this led him to start questioning whether anything she had said was true from the beginning. But the reality scared him so much that he tried not to think about it, because it would mean that he had pushed me away because of a liar. Finally, he contacted Sophia and asked her to tell him the truth. She replied that she was bored with college and that he owed her all that because it made her happy. But at that point, the emotional manipulation stopped working with my dad. So he stopped giving her money and told her to get a job and support herself. Then Sophia showed up at their house demanding to be paid for everything that had happened. My parents told her they weren't giving her anything anymore. She got mad and left, but later came back to apologize, and my parents forgave her. She promised them that she would get a job, but then she stole some diamond jewelry that my mom had kept in her room and left. Dad tried to contact her many times but couldn't find her. After searching a lot, he found her and had her arrested for the theft. All of this made my parents sure that Sophia had lied about everything from the beginning, including the accusation, and they had already started to regret having kicked me out. But then she got out of jail and she did the same thing to my dad. She told all the family members that my dad had bribed her with money and had been sleeping with her. She told them that he had manipulated her in a vulnerable moment and got her used to accepting money from him. When she finally understood that everything was wrong and threatened to expose him, he had her arrested. The family believed her over him, and she even said that my mom knew everything and did nothing. This led to a huge fight in our family, and ever since, my parents have been trying to prove their innocence. My dad felt that I could help them, that together we could expose her and prove their innocence. I'm sorry if anyone is going to be offended by this, but all I could do after hearing everything was laugh. I asked my dad how it felt to be in my shoes. They told me they needed me, and I replied that when I needed them, they kicked me out and left me alone. I explained that I had no reason to prove anything to anyone, that I didn't care about them or what was going on. Then I asked them to leave. I kicked them out and told them never to show up here again. My Aunt Paula isn't happy with what I did, but I think I did the right thing. I've already lost everything. Why should I fight for my parents? I don't care about them, Sophia, or the family. I have my life to focus on. A few weeks have passed, and this will definitely be my last update. I ended up going back home to confront Sophia for everything she did to me and my family. Let me tell you what happened. A week after my parents left, I started to feel really bad about what I did. Not about letting my parents leave without helping them, since I don't really care about them, but about the fact that Sophia was doing the same thing again and was going to get away with it easily. I told myself I cannot allow her to keep repeating these actions that has ruined many lives. So I thought, why don't I go to her, face to face? So many serious accusations like these had become a joke to her, and I felt I couldn't let her get away so easily after life gave me a second chance to get revenge. I also wanted to talk to her and understand why she did everything she did, and obviously I wanted to expose the kind of person she truly was. I talked to my Aunt Paula, who told me I should go back and confront her once and for all, since I had nothing to lose. I was scared, but I knew that I had to. So I took some time off and went back home. I didn't tell anyone, not even my parents, because I just wanted to talk to Sophia first. I found out where she would be, bought a spy camera that recorded video and audio to expose her if she confessed anything, and pinned it to my shirt. As soon as I figured out where she would be, I went to see her. She was very surprised to see me. I wasn't planning on getting emotional or showing myself as hurt, but as soon as I saw her smiling face, my blood started to boil. I had to control myself. She asked me what I was doing there, and I told her that my parents had called me, but that I wasn't there for them, but because I wanted to talk to her. I asked her why she did this to me, even though I never did anything to her. I even forgot I was recording, so she believed I just wanted to talk. I asked her if everything had been for the money, and she told me that it wasn't just for the money. She admitted that she was jealous of me because I had everything that she didn't, and hated me for it. So you ruined my life because you were jealous? I asked, incredulous. I asked her if it seemed fair to ruin my life because of such petty envy, and she simply laughed. She told me she did it because she could, and because the system was designed in a way that would always support women in cases like that. She confessed that it was too easy to convince everyone, and that no one gave me a chance. She said that she enjoyed the power of being able to have anyone arrested at any time with no proof. Karma will get you for this, I said. She replied that karma didn't exist. I replied that she would when she got the money that was hers, according to her. Finally, she told me to go back to the dump I came from. I told her that she would regret playing with serious accusations, and she replied that no one could touch her. Then I left and asked my dad, Andrew, to call a family meeting. There, I presented what already shocked everyone, and I showed them the truth about their precious Sophia. I reveal the confession that I recorded. My parents were completely speechless and couldn't even look at me. At that moment, Sophia walked in and got the same treatment I did, but before they kicked her out, I told her, this is karma. I revealed to her that I am her karma and that I will now leave. I had no intention in continuing to stay to face my old family again. I was done. My parents dragged her out of the house, Later, I learned that they had kicked her out and told her that they regretted having raised a daughter like her. They cut her off from the family completely, and everyone learned that she had attempted to claim false accusations twice, so no one trusted her. Sophia, who had been the girl who cried wolf, was left alone. That day, while Sophia pleaded with my parents to listen to her, I left, because I was done. The next day, I had a flight, but that night, many of my family members, including my parents and other relatives, showed up at my hotel, begging for forgiveness. I told them that I didn't blame them entirely, but that I wasn't going to forgive them, because I was done with my family. My parents pleaded for me to stay, and said that they would do anything to be forgiven. I came back here not for you. I did it all for myself. I replied that that simply wasn't going to happen, that they weren't my family. I explained to my parents that I hadn't come to clear my name, or theirs, but to expose Sophia, and that I wanted nothing to do with them. I made it clear that my Aunt Paula was my only family. After that, I left. I cut contact with everyone again, and I truly have left that life behind. I don't want to hear from them ever again. I'm just glad Sophia got what she deserved. Before I left, I also heard that she was begging everyone for help, but no one helped her. This is all for me now. I'm truly free from everything, including my family and my past. I just want to live my life with my only family, my Aunt Paula. Thank you all for the support during this time. I was not able to do it without you all. I walk to my car, get in, and head home. As I head home, I feel the tears stream down my face, but I wipe them away. I look forward to seeing my aunt, and can feel myself start to smile again. The drive back to Paula's was long and quiet. The snow-dusted pines blurred into a green and white canvas outside my window, a stark contrast to the turmoil raging inside me. I replayed the events of the past few days in my head, trying to make sense of it all. Had I achieved closure? Had I truly put the past behind me? The answer, I suspected, was complicated. I had exposed Sophia, freed myself from her lies. I had witnessed her downfall, the complete and utter isolation she deserved. But the satisfaction I had anticipated was strangely muted. The years of anger and resentment had left a residue, a deep-seated bitterness that wouldn't simply vanish overnight. I was free, yes, but I was also weary. The fight had taken its toll, leaving me emotionally drained. As I pulled into Paula's driveway, I saw her standing on the porch, her face etched with worry. The sight of her unwavering support, was a soothing balm to my frayed nerves. "How did it go?" she asked, her voice soft. I hesitated, unsure how to articulate the mess of emotions swirling within me. "It's over," I finally said, my voice hoarse. I told them I was done. Paula nodded, understanding dawning in her eyes. She didn't press me for details, didn't demand a triumphant declaration of victory. She simply wrapped me in a warm embrace, a silent reassurance that I was home, that I was safe. "Come inside," she said, leading me into the cozy warmth of her home. "I made your favorite soup." The simple act of sharing a meal, of being surrounded by Paula's quiet, steadfast love, helped to ground me, to anchor me in the present. But as I sat there, savoring the warmth of the soup and the comfort of Paula's presence, I knew that the real work was just beginning. Exposing Sophia and severing ties with my family was only the first step. Now, I had to confront the lingering effects of their betrayal, to heal the deep wounds that had festered for so long. It would be a long and arduous journey, one that would require patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to face my own inner demons. The days that followed were a mixture of quiet reflection and renewed purpose. I threw myself into my studies, finding solace in the structure and intellectual stimulation that college provided. I spent more time with Paula, listening to her stories, learning from her wisdom, allowing her love to seep into the cracks in my armor. I even started seeing a therapist, a kind and understanding woman who helped me process the trauma I had endured, to unravel the complex web of emotions that had consumed me for so long. It wasn't easy. There were days when the memories would overwhelm me, when the anger and resentment would resurface with renewed intensity. There were moments when I questioned whether I would ever truly heal, whether I would ever be able to trust again. But Paula was always there, a constant source of strength and support. She reminded me of how far I had come, of the resilience I had shown, of the brighter future that lay ahead. Slowly, painstakingly, I began to rebuild my life. I cultivated new friendships, forged new connections with people who valued me for who I was, not for who my family had tried to paint me to be. I found joy in simple pleasures, in the beauty of the natural world, in the comfort of a good book. I even started to tentatively explore the possibility of a romantic relationship, though the fear of being hurt again still lingered in the back of my mind. It was a process of gradual healing, of learning to trust myself, to value myself, to believe in my own worth. One crisp autumn evening, as I was sitting on Paula's porch, watching the leaves fall from the trees, I received an unexpected phone call. It was my father. I hesitated for a moment, my heart pounding in my chest. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to sever the connection once and for all. But another part of me, a small, fragile ember of hope, urged me to answer. "Hello?" I said, my voice guarded. There was a long pause on the other end, as if he was searching for the right words. "Joseph," he finally said, his voice filled with a tentative humility. I just wanted to say thank you, I asked, incredulous. "For what? For exposing Sophia?" he said. "For finally showing us the truth." "It wasn't for you," I said, my voice cold. "It was for me." "I know," he said softly. "But still, I wanted to thank you, and to tell you that we're trying to make things right." "What do you mean?" I asked. My curiosity piqued despite myself. "We're trying to help Sophia," he said. She's not doing well. She's lost everything. And we're trying to get her help." I was silent for a moment, processing this information. The idea of Sophia, stripped of her power, facing the consequences of her actions, stirred something within me. Not pity, exactly, but a flicker of something akin to understanding. "What kind of help?" I asked. "Therapy," he said. "Rehabilitation. We're trying to get her back on her feet." I didn't say anything for a long time. This was the most surprising call I'd have ever received. "We're getting her help." I had no intent on being part of my father's twisted plan. I didn't respond to my father. I didn't have anything more to say. "I don't know what to say, to be honest," I said quietly. "I don't expect you to forgive us," he said. "I just wanted you to know that we're trying. And that we miss you." "Goodbye, Dad," I said, and hung up. I sat on the porch for a long time, watching the leaves fall, pondering the complexities of forgiveness, of redemption, of the enduring bonds of family. I think I now can let it all go. I knew that I might never fully forgive my parents for what they had done. The scars ran too deep, the betrayal was too profound. But I could acknowledge their efforts, their attempts to make amends. And perhaps, someday, down the long and winding road of life, I might find a way to reconcile with them, to rebuild a semblance of a relationship. But for now, I was content with the life I had created, with the love and support of Paula, with the knowledge that I had survived, that I had overcome, that I had emerged from the darkness stronger and more resilient than ever before. I stood up, stretched my arms towards the sky, and took a deep breath of the crisp autumn air. The future was uncertain, but it was mine, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of peace, of hope, of possibility. The phone was a thing of the past, and nothing in my future will be tainted with it again. 5 years had passed since I confronted Sophia and severed ties with my family. 5 years of rebuilding, of healing, of discovering who I truly was meant to be. Life was good. Not perfect, but good. I had graduated from college, earning my degree in psychology. The experience of being falsely accused and ostracized had fueled my passion to understand the human mind, to help others navigate the complexities of trauma and betrayal. I now worked as a therapist in a small clinic, providing support and guidance to individuals struggling with issues of trust, forgiveness, and self-worth. My own experiences, though painful, had given me a unique perspective and empathy that allowed me to connect with my clients on a deeper level. Paula was still my rock, my anchor in the storm. She had retired from her job and was now spending her days volunteering at the local library, sharing her love of books with the community. We still lived together, our bond strengthened by the shared experience of overcoming adversity. I had even cautiously dipped my toes back into the dating pool, finding a genuine connection with a woman named Sarah. She was kind, intelligent, and compassionate, with a quiet strength that I found incredibly appealing. We took things slow, building trust and intimacy over time. One sunny afternoon, as I was strolling through the park with Sarah, I saw a familiar figure sitting on a bench. It was my mother, Lucy. My heart skipped a beat. A wave of conflicting emotions washed over me. Anger, sadness, curiosity, and a flicker of something akin to compassion. Sarah squeezed my hand, sensing my unease. "Do you want to talk to her?" she asked gently. I hesitated, unsure. "I don't know," I said. "It's your choice," Sarah said, her voice unwavering. "I'll be here for you, whatever you decide." Taking a deep breath, I walked towards the bench. Lucy looked up, her eyes widening in surprise. She looked older, her face etched with lines of regret. "Joseph," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Mom," I replied, my voice neutral. We stood there for a moment, an awkward silence stretching between us. Then Lucy spoke. "I just wanted to tell you that Sophia is doing better," she said. "She's been in therapy for years, and she's finally starting to take responsibility for what she did." I nodded slowly, unsure how to respond. "She wanted to apologize to you," Lucy continued. "But I didn't know if you were ready to hear it. I considered this for a moment. The idea of facing Sophia again, of reliving the pain of the past, filled me with trepidation. But I also knew that true healing required confronting the source of my pain, of facing my demons head-on. "Maybe someday," I said. "But not today." Lucy nodded, understanding dawning in her eyes. "I understand," she said. "I just wanted you to know that. We're sorry." "For everything, I know," I said. We stood there for a few more moments, a fragile truce hanging in the air. Then I turned to leave. "Joseph," Lucy called out, her voice filled with a hesitant hope. Can we see you again?" I hesitated, torn between my desire for closure and my fear of being hurt again. "Maybe," I said, "but I need time." "Of course," Lucy said. "Take all the time you need." I walked back to Sarah, her presence a comforting anchor in the storm of my emotions. As we continued our stroll through the park, I realized that the past would always be a part of me, a scar etched onto my soul, but it no longer defined me. I had survived, I had healed, and I had found a way to create a life filled with purpose, love, and hope. The long road had been treacherous, filled with pain and betrayal, but it had also led me to a place of strength, resilience, and a profound understanding of the human heart. And for that, I was grateful. The tears have dried and the sun shines on my face.